Hey people, this is Zipo the Chow here, and today I am going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm actually going to be talking about my art history and, my progression as an artist and things like that. And I might make this sort of a series where I talk about random stuff. I may not. Depends on whether or not I have ideas of stuff I can talk about and stuff. But anyways, so the reason I wanted to do this video is because recently, this is a pretty big thing. There is this website that I've been going on for the past 7 years, called Chow Island. You probably have heard of it before if you've researched Chow and stuff. You've probably researched Chow on this website because this website has a lot of information about Chow. But it also has a forum, and I've been a member of that forum for over 7 years at this point, and just a few days ago, I actually got promoted to becoming an official artist for the website. So that is a pretty big thing for me as an artist, that now I'm actually going to be doing art for a website, along with 2 others so far, but I get to help, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up before I talk about, my history as an artist, just so, kind of where I'm at this point. So let's go ahead and get started. I may be showing, pictures from, various time periods if applicable and stuff, or, just filler stuff from the background, so it's not just me talking over a blank screen. So let's go ahead and get started. So I want to start with my early history as an artist, which I've always liked drawing ever since I was very, very little. I've seen pictures of myself when I was only about a year old or so, drawing with highlighters and markers and stuff. And, well, it wasn't so much drawing as scribbling, but, I guess it counts. So I've always loved drawing. It was always a fun activity that I loved doing. And I didn't really think much of it back when I was little. Whether it be from, toddler age all the way to, elementary school. I just never really saw it as, that big a deal. It was just something that I liked doing, just for fun or when I was bored. And, sometimes my classmates at school would enjoy seeing my stuff, but nobody really thought too much of it because, well, I'm not really a prodigy, so I didn't have, really amazing art in elementary school or anything, but, so, I didn't really embrace it as a talent back then. It was just something I kind of liked doing. But, around the time I was in 6th grade, when I started middle school, is when things started to change. I used to draw a lot, and, well, I still draw a lot. Well, not as much as I used to, but anyways, I'm just rambling here. But in one of my classes, one of my teachers took notice of, my drawing and decided to kind of, in between doing classwork, she would let me draw stuff, which most of my other teachers would not let me draw anything. They would usually tell us in between classwork to do work on other assignments for other classes or study or anything like that, or read or something, do something productive, and drawing was not considered productive. But one of my teachers in 6th grade actually let me draw in between assignments, and sometimes my classmates would look over and see what I was drawing, and they would, ask me if I could draw them stuff. This especially became people really started asking me to draw stuff for them when Pokemon Diamond and Pearl came out, and I brought a strategy guide to school with me, so that way I could draw the new Pokemon and stuff, and they would ask me if I could draw some of the new ones for them. And I did. It was basically when I started taking requests, and of course my art wasn't very good. This is all, me just kind of trying to, draw the same exact thing that was in the strategy guide, and failing miserably. I didn't trace anything back then. Well, at least not at that age. I traced a bit of stuff when I was 7, but sometimes when you're little, you kind of want to find a quick way to get better, quote unquote. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I started my like embracing my talent as an artist. And so I kept trying to build on it, throughout middle school. Although in 7th grade, I didn't really draw for anybody. In fact, I actually had to stop drawing for a bit because my grades were not doing so good, and my parents actually told me to stop doodling on my classwork and like stuff like that. So I actually kind of stopped for a while. But, it didn't really last that long. My parents couldn't even keep me from doodling little stick figures on the sides of like my assignments and stuff. But yeah. Um, in 8th grade, I continued drawing stuff. I actually came up with some characters, some original characters that I would draw, like on my notes for certain classes and, on my assignments. And, my teachers didn't really complain, really, at that point. They didn't really care anymore, just as long as I actually did my work. But my classmates again began taking notice of my drawing and would like ask me to draw them stuff, or whatever. But it was around the beginning of 2009 that I discovered Chow Island. And I wanted to bring up Chow Island because it's been a big part of... I'm going to be bringing up Chow Island a lot because it's a big part of basically who I am today as an artist and kind of as a person in general. But even though I had people who looked up to me for my art and, in middle school, I still had kids that made fun of me and said that, my art was terrible and that I was terrible. I was a stupid, mentally retarded person. So I got bullied a lot, but I eventually found the website Chow Island in January of 2009. Well, actually, I should say I found the forum of Chow Island. I actually knew about the website Chow Island for ever since sometime in 2008 or so, and that's where I looked up like information on stuff on Chow and but when I discovered the forum, I actually remember I asked my dad, who was on the phone, if I could join the website, because I still had to have his permission for everything. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But when I joined Chow Island, I was hoping to make some new friends, and, make some friends that, would not bully me for the, trivial reasons that people at school would. And while doing so, I noticed the art board on Chow Island. I noticed people drawing stuff in Microsoft Paint. And, I didn't really draw with Microsoft Paint at that point. I mean, yeah, I did some drawings, some little really shitty drawings in MS Paint when I was, growing up. But it was never something that I really drew in. I never used digital medium as a way for drawing. So seeing people drawing with, Microsoft Paint, made me kind of want to do that, especially since I didn't really have a way to show my traditional art on Chow Island at that point. So I decided to go ahead and actually try my hand at digital art. And I was not very good at the beginning. But that didn't stop me from doing it anyways. This is actually when I first started to shade my drawings. I didn't do shading before, and I was terrible at it. But there were some other artists that I looked up to and I eventually made friends with, and, I looked up to their art, and, looking at their art and stuff, it helped me, like, maybe, I would help me think of different techniques to try and, like, draw certain things better. I don't know what I'm saying right now. But, being in a community of artists really helped me to, expand my talent and, just meet people who had similar interests and similar, talents, whether they were at the same skill level or not. And it was a really, really great time. 2009 on Chow Island. I actually, in April of 2009, I founded the Chow Island Artists Group, which is not to be confused with the now official Chow Island Artists Group as part of the staff team. But this was a user group that I made in April 2009 for, just artists on the site in general, and it became one of the most popular user groups on the site. And it eventually died out, unfortunately, but when it was alive, it was active, it was popular, and it really helped me connect with other artists and, to improve myself. And it was really great. I owe a lot to the people that I made friends with. I'm not going to name drop them, any of them here right now, but it was really great. Eventually, I actually decided to, join DeviantArt, which at the time, all my friends, they had DeviantArt accounts. I didn't because my parents were overprotective and they didn't want me joining, certain websites. And DeviantArt was actually the first time that I went behind their backs and actually joined a website without their permission. And I actually kept my account on DeviantArt secret for about a month or so, maybe 2 months, I don't remember. But, eventually my account was discovered and my parents, they were cool with it. It turned out they were cool with it, or at least my mom was initially, but, so now I had another site to share art on and I began making more friends. And, it was just, it's really hard for me to put into words, like, how to describe, like, my history, if you guys couldn't tell. That's why I keep, pausing and just, stuttering sometimes, but keep in mind this is not scripted, people, so... So I joined DeviantArt around September of 2000, or it was straight up September of 2009, and it was around sort of that time, around mid-late 2009, I began experimenting with Adobe Photoshop CS2, which later on became my main art program. I no longer used MS Paint later on down the road. And I forgot to mention, I was doing all my art with a mouse at that point. Occasionally a laptop trackpad if I was like using my laptop, but usually I was always drawing, with a mouse, as far as digital art goes. I eventually got a scanner hooked up. This is going back to early 2009. I eventually got a scanner hooked up, so that way I could scan my traditional drawings and show those off to DeviantArt, and I didn't have to deal with, terrible camera picture quality. In 2010, was kind of the first full year I spent, on both Chow Island and DeviantArt as, the artist that I was. Unfortunately, on Chow Island, 2010 was a bit of a messy year for me. I stopped being as active outside of my user group because there was some drama going on, and a lot of users got banned around mid-2010, and it was a dramatic time. Very, very dramatic. As far as, other stuff people on the site were doing, and, But, DeviantArt, it was fine. I eventually got a premium membership on DeviantArt. They're called core memberships now, but who cares? I'm still calling them premium memberships. I eventually got one of those on my DeviantArt first anniversary, and I've been, a premium member ever since because I keep renewing it. But the 2010 was, kind of a sort of a transitional year because, again, as I said before, I started moving from Microsoft Paint to Adobe Photoshop CS2, and there was a lot of new techniques and a lot of new stuff I was trying to learn, and I was really trying to experiment with a lot of stuff in 2010. And it was around 2010, as far as real life goes, I ended up switching schools because I wasn't doing well in the previous one, and we decided to switch me to a different school, and, it gave me an opportunity to meet new friends again, using my art as kind of a way to, express myself and, hopefully make a couple of friends because, they want to see my art, they want to be with me, they want to be friends with me, they want to talk to me, and blah, blah, blah. The, something, I don't know. See, I told you before, this isn't scripted, so I'm gonna be rambling here and there. But, around the end of 2010, well, actually, this had been going on for quite a while. I've been wanting to get a graphics tablet because, some of my friends were getting them. Go figure, I would want them if my friends had them. But also because I thought it would be a lot easier to be able to draw, like, with an actual pen. And so I, kept requesting a graphics tablet for a long time, and it was on New Year's Eve of 2010 that I finally got my first graphics tablet. And as a matter of fact, I'm still using that tablet. It still works even, 6 years later. Well, really, it's about 5 years later right now, but, close enough. Originally, that tablet was supposed to be a Christmas present, but my mom, who was the one who gave it to me, was actually away taking care of family matters, and I was with my dad also taking care of family matters. Very, very hectic time, the end of 2010, but that's all personal stuff, so I'm not going to talk about that. And also around the end of 2010, I began, again, using a different program. I began using Paint Tool Sci for a drawing, and I really liked the program, but it was kind of tricky to use because, I don't know, it was different from Photoshop, and, I only used a trial period for a while, and then once the trial period expired, I went back to Photoshop. But after I got my tablet, I eventually got the software license for Paint Tool Sci, and began using that as my main art program, and only used Photoshop basically for editing and effects and stuff. And 2011 was a very, another one of those, transitional years where I'm learning how to use my tablet and, how to use Paint Tool Sci. And 2011 was around the time that I actually tried to quit Chow Island because I was stressed out. A lot of my friends had left the site. It seemed like there was a lot of unnecessary drama, and there wasn't really as much stuff on the site that I was really interested in anymore. So I tried quitting, but go figure, I went back to the site to tend to my art topic, which I had started in July of 2010. And that art topic is still running to this day, and I hope to keep it running. But anyways, I kept going back to Chow Island because I kept feeling the need to, eventually update that topic and just, that's where I was sharing most of my art because, as I said earlier, that the Chow Island artist group eventually died because users left, or in some cases got banned. But, so, 2011 was a bit of an eventful year as far as, me, getting my tablet, using a new program, trying to quit Chow Island but failing, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't remember off the top of my head. And by 2012, 2012 wasn't really a very eventful year for me as far as art goes, but things started to change for me during 2013, where I actually went into a bit of a dry spell. In 2013, I began having a lot of health problems. I had problems, a whole bunch of problems. I actually had to have my wisdom teeth removed in the middle of 2013, and that was just one of many problems I had. And because of my, health problems and stuff, I was unable to draw as much as I had used to. And so 2013 was not a very art productive year, and neither was 2014. 2014 was not really, I wasn't very active in 2014 as far as art goes either, because my laptop, my Windows XP laptop, wasn't able to safely connect to the internet anymore, so I just did everything on an iPad for a while, and I didn't have like a flash drive to transfer my drawings, to another computer and stuff. So I had no way of really submitting art to DeviantArt or Chow Island for that matter. And 2015 was even kind of a not so productive year, at least not on DeviantArt, because I went on hiatus on DeviantArt because I was just kind of fed up with some stuff. I wasn't really receiving like the feedback that I kind of wanted. That's one thing that I will you can call me an attention seeker all you want, but I don't think I really receive enough feedback on my art. But I'm not gonna go on a rant about that right now. Try and stay on topic here. So 2015, I had gotten a new laptop by that point, but I went on hiatus from DeviantArt. I still drew stuff, but I didn't post anything to DeviantArt, and I wasn't really that art active during my DeviantArt hiatus anyways. I was still occasionally updating well, actually no, I was on hiatus from Chow Island too at that point. I eventually came back to Chow Island and DeviantArt right around the same time or so, but I continued to draw stuff, and really that's all I can say. I just there's been improvement over the years. I continue to draw. Some years were better than others in terms of my art, and I've met a lot of people in my journey as an artist. And now, as of April 22nd, actually, I am an official artist on Chow Island, and I'm kind of anxious but excited to do art for Chow Island. I haven't actually done anything yet, but I'm sure I will eventually. But it's overwhelming to me when I think about my history as an artist, and the fact that I still got many more years ahead of me of improving and stuff, and who knows what other things will happen in my career as an artist. I mean, I don't actually have a job in real life yet, as far as, well, anything goes, not just art. But I have gone from a point where my art was just a hobby, just a thing that I did for fun, for fun and for boredom. I tried saying fun and bored at the same time. It's just a thing that I did for fun and for boredom when I was young, and then it became a thing where it was a talent that I began to embrace, and because I began to embrace it, I began to meet new people, make new friends, get better faster, and just overall just be exposed to this a whole bunch of stuff through my life as an artist. And it's changed me as a person, and I really get happy whenever somebody tells me that because of my art and stuff that I've become an inspiration for them. I inspire them to get better as an artist or something, and it gives me a warm fuzzy feeling when I can do that, especially because I don't really have a whole lot of self-confidence. It really helps me when somebody tells me that I've been an inspiration to them, like I've helped somebody else, and it's a feeling that I can't really describe. It's just a feeling that you gotta kind of feel for yourself to understand what it feels like. It's hard to put into words. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about today. I hope if you guys stuck around to the very end of this, I know it's been a pretty long video, but if you stuck around to the very end, I thank you very much for listening to me ramble and, make some verbal typos here and there and stutter and blah blah blah. For the third time, this is not scripted. I don't script my stuff. I have some notes written down on my iPad, but that's about it. But I thank you for listening, and if you'd like to, I don't know, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, you can go ahead and do so. I, have my DeviantArt page if you haven't checked that out. You can look at Chow Island and see me as an artist. Of course, you can't actually look at my profile without having your own account. And my voice is kind of dying, I don't know if you can tell, but I've been talking for over 20 minutes, so... You know, that's kind of to be expected, but anyways, enough rambling. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you whenever I do another video. Bye!